MONEYMANE and the thing of a T ain't playing no games. Should already know my name when I speak in CC Flame. Got my YouTube poppin', man. Like, subscribe, and everything in between. You already know MONEYMANE. MONEYMANE. You already know I have it.
There it is. There we go.
This building is meant to have our players here and in the weight room, out on the field. It's just it feels empty when they're not here. Those fields, as beautiful as they are, and Lee and Glenn and Dylan do a great job. They're meant to be painted with lines. So that's the fun part for me and us as coaches as we get started. Great energy in the building with the players here. I will say this: it's a voluntary program. We are. I am not going to say who's here, who's not here, and on those type of things. I just respect this program and how it is. I will tell you guys, James Pierce is not here. We've been in constant communication with his representation, but I won't have much more to add than that. But again, a voluntary program. The guys that are here, you love being around them and coaching them up and that type of thing. But I totally respect how this program is set up. Coaches are excited. They're doing a great job in the classroom right now. As you guys know, phase one is really weight room and classroom. I guess you can add the field in terms of the running portion of the program, but not a lot of football per se in these first couple weeks of phase two. So we're blessed. We're very, very lucky to get to start 2 weeks early. We got a jump start on everybody as a new staff, and we're going to take advantage of that. And the guys have done a great job. So very, very excited to be back in front of those guys. But with that, I'll take any questions.
Kevin, James Spears not being here.
Kevin, y'all are doing football stuff.
Yeah, respectfully, I would tell you it's a voluntary program, so that's up to each individual player to make those decisions. I would also add that we've had great discussions with his representation.
So with the James Spears decision.
I don't want to get into the specifics of that, but it's every player's decision that I respect.
One more housekeeping question on that. Is it indefinite at this point? Do you have any expectation of when he will arrive?
Yeah, I'm focused on today. Yeah.
What do you expect the tone to be for the guys who did show up? What do you as a coach want to come out of it?
Yeah, we're getting to work. We're getting to work. These our players and NFL players do a great job in the off season. They're spread all over God's green earth, and they're working out and wherever they may be. And then we get to get our arms around them and continue that work. So the guys are in great shape. They get to then get into a workout together with our strength staff who do a terrific job. So we're focused on the work. So much of the off-season program, as you guys know, is just building foundational knowledge. That's scheme, that's the X's and O's, but that's also a foundational knowledge of our techniques, of our fundamentals, foundational knowledge of our identity as an offense.
Appreciate you. No Mountain Man Robinson. Yeah,
so
right.
I'd say a lot of the offseason program is about building a strong foundation.
Aside from James, is there anybody who's not going to be participating?
I'm just not there yet.
Similarly, just not going to get into who's doing what at this point. I think it's appropriate to just kind of focus on the guys that are here and that are able to do what they're doing. I will tell you, there's a bunch of guys that are continuing to do a great job with rehab, and some are getting ready to jump in there and be full go. Some are a little bit behind, maybe a couple weeks before that's coming, but we'll work with the medical staff in that regard.
Where is Michael at this stage?
Continuing his rehab. Like I've told you guys throughout the off season, he's been somebody that is attacking his rehab, which should come as no surprise to anybody. So he's right where he needs to be, but not so focused on timetables just yet.
Given the holdover with kind of
They're
the
bad.
staff, are you letting them kind of lead the way at this point in time, or are there things that you have done previously that you'd like to see them implement?
I think every year as a strength staff, as a coaching staff, whatever it may be, you're constantly looking for best practices. You're constantly looking to do things better than you did the year before. So we've definitely challenged our strength staff to do that. And I think Coach Griffin has done an outstanding job of laying out a program that will help our guys get bigger, faster, stronger. And there's so many different ways to do that. But year in and year out, I think it's important to look at what you do and find maybe new, better ways to do it.
This is the first time in a while you've done this with a whole new group. I wonder if that comes with certain challenges and maybe certain advantages.
With a whole new group of
team. And this,
yeah.
You're brand new here. Everybody's starting with a blank slate. I wonder if that makes it any different than last. 5 years in Cleveland?
It's a good question. My first year in Cleveland was COVID, so there wasn't an off-season program. So I guess this is for my first time doing this as a first time or first year. Yeah, I think as you guys all know, anytime you get new faces together, there's an energy that comes from that. And I'm talking players, coaches, and even guys that have been here and maybe do things a little bit differently. There's plenty of good that has been going on in this building. We want to continue those things, but there's plenty that we also want to, do it in a way that is maybe a little bit different. So you are going to ask some players and coaches and to do things maybe a little bit different. I think there's great growth that can come from those type of things.
When Arthur Blank made the leadership changes, he talked a lot about he felt like the organization needed more accountability. For you as a head coach, is there anything you can do now, even before you get into practice, kind of foster that accountability?
Yeah, I think accountability is something that can come from player to player, can go coach to player, can go player to coach, coach to coach. I think all of us should do our jobs in holding each other accountable. This program that we're in right now is a voluntary program. So as we're in the off-season program until we get to that mandatory mini camp or training camp, these are the portion of the calendar where you want your guys to come in and work hard and be around their teammates and also foster an environment where they're enjoying coming to work. They should enjoy being around each other and push each other and pull each other and share a meal together in the meal room. That's the fun part of this portion of the off-season program. Accountability obviously comes in everything that we do. It's a core tenet of who we are, but it also can come from, it's not just a top-down type of thing.
This man soft.
We will. Yeah, that'll come later as we get into training camp.
Is this a time where
Keep
you
saying it's voluntary. We know that.
the culture, start the foundation of the culture that you want, even though it's voluntary?
Without a doubt.
You might not be here.
Without a doubt. I think that culture, it's a funny word, right? Because it's so easy it gets thrown around. And to me, if you have the right people in the locker room and they're focused on the right things and they're pushing each other, that's the culture that you're looking for. And that really just, to me, speaks to a player-driven accountability, a player-driven culture, a player-driven group that pushes their teammates to be the best versions of themselves. It's my job and our coaches' jobs to put together a structure, to put together a program. But when it's player-driven, you got a real chance.
Rob, this is Kevin Stefanski. It's what you're going to get all year.
Benefit, in your opinion, either what you saw in Cleveland or just generically of veterans being here, the ones that do show us on Mark Jackson decided to show up in Baltimore.
Well, as coaches, as you can imagine, all of us, we love to have all of our players and we love to be able to coach. That's what we're teachers. We love to stand in front of the classroom. We love to be on the grass with our players. And so I think there's great benefits to being in a program where your coaches can coach you, where your teammates can be around you and can push you. So we over the course of this 10-week program, we want to cover a lot of ground, and that's both schematically, but more importantly, it's from a physical strength and conditioning, and then the part of becoming a football team, being around each other, understanding what we're about, understanding as coaches what are the things that are going to be important to us. So I think there's great value in this program that you can cover a lot of ground. I think there's value in it.
First impression's been spending some time with Bijan, just around the guy.
Special, yeah, like what we've talked about before. There's no shortage in what he can do for the football team on the field, but just also the person that he is off the field and what he brings to our locker room and what, to the question earlier about culture and being a player-driven culture, he's a driver of that just because of how he attacks each day.
And then the fact that Bijan, the leaders, will be here and are here. How excited are you? Been the first time you've had to be in this position because they had COVID years.
Sure. I think, yeah, there's to that point and there's different forms of leadership but having guys that are around and showing the young guys the way. And when the rookies get in here, that'll be even more important. There's so often I tell young players to rookies, when they get into the room, find the guy that's been doing it for 8+ years. You know, he figured something out. He figured out a routine or a process that works for him. Some of those players will take you under their wing. Some are going to kind of just do their job, and that's okay. You can learn from that. So identifying those veterans for young players, identifying those veterans that have perfected their process, have stuck around because they do the right thing. And, you know, what time do they get in the building? What do they do when they get in the building? You know, what do they do when the horn goes off and practice is over? Where do they go? And what are the things they're working on their body, working on the playbook, whatever it may be. So I just think there is great value for young players to see how veterans attack each day. And that'll be very, very important when we get the young guys in here.
Yes, and Matt Ryan had said part of his job was to hire head coach and general manager and then offer support. He's done the first two things kind of over this time period. How's he supported you? What's that relationship been like? What kind of things has he implemented with you at all, you know, at that time?
Yeah, I'd say constant support for myself, for Ian, from Matt. We spend a lot of time together. We spend a lot of time in those meeting rooms together. You know, certainly as Ian's preparing for this draft, Matt's it's been a great sounding board for him. I know that, and certainly for me as we're putting things together on the team side of it, he's been outstanding. So, yeah, I think Matt's just a great partner to have in all of this, but he's been a constant supporter of everything we're doing.
You've had conversations throughout the season with the guys, or the offseason with some of the players and everything. What's kind of the thing that they've told you, or some of the feedback? This is what we want. This is what, you know, is really important to us and the head coach and how we want to build this thing.
Sure. I think all those really are ongoing conversations. I don't think those are things that just happen one time. And I think it's important for our players and for myself to have a constant dialogue, constant communication on things that we're trying to do. You know, that's part of my job, is to set the direction of what we're doing from a football standpoint. But I'm constantly listening to our players and listening to the people around me, coaches, whoever it may be, to make sure that we're on the right path.
Kind of, you and Matt both said in your press conferences to start out that the vision for this team is to be able to run the football and to be able to stop the run. How does that manifest itself in the draft?
Well, I think every position factors into those two things. Even the quarterback position factors into being able to run the football. So I think from a roster building standpoint, I think Ian, Matt, myself see it very similarly into the things that win on Sundays in this league, and the players that will fit into that. But you can't be so dogmatic to say that we're only going to be, you know, taking this player at the, you know, you have to be, I think in this day and age, you have to be nimble, if you will, in all things you do, whether that's roster building, scheme, you name it, because the game certainly changes year to year.
What are the challenges of not having a first round pick and only having 5 picks overall?
You know, you can look at it as a challenge, I guess, but we look at it as an opportunity to add 5 really good players to this football team, if that's what it ends up being. But I think Ian and his staff have done an outstanding job to date. We're not all the way there from a process yet. We still have some additional meetings that will go into next week as we get prepared. But 5 picks to me sounds like 5 good players to add to the roster.
Kind of a time machine question, but were you always going to be a coach guy, or did you kind of stumble into this career coming out of college?
Yeah, 4th grade, I believe, career day, I was an architect. Okay. So still have a chance to chase my dream, I guess. No, to answer your question, I fell in love with this game. at a very young age, you know, and I can talk at length about that. But then just being around the game, and those who can't teach, those who can't coach, right? Once you're done playing and you want to stay near it, that was really for me, just staying near this game, something that I love, something that's given me so much, a sport that I think can teach all of us so much about ourselves. And so I fell in love with this game, and the game just kind of tugged me in this direction.
Going back to the player-led culture for a second, do you have anything in mind to help kind of foster relationships beyond maybe just the normal time on task, or do you want that to come from the players?
Well, that's a good question. I do think organically that happens. You know, part of the off-season program is you're under one roof and you're sharing a meal in there. You're in the locker room chopping it up. All of that lends itself to becoming a team organically. There are things that we can and will do over the course of this program and in the training camp that can also be intentional about team building, if you will, but just being around each other, I think is a great start.
You talked about your conversations, relationship early on with Bijan. Same thing for Kyle Pitts. First hurdle has been cleared, and then other decisions have to be made. How excited are you, and what kind of relationship have you guys had early on in conversations?
Yeah, Kyle's been great. Fun to get to know him, get to know the person off the field. We're both from Philly, so we can share in some Philly stories. He's a what's the word? Help me out, wordsmiths. He's becoming a golfer. He's falling in love with the game of golf. What's the word I'm looking for? What is it? Foolish? No. He got bit by the golf bug. Maybe a good way of putting it. So it's fun to talk about the sport with him, and he's a great young man. I've enjoyed being around him. I know what you guys have seen the same thing I've seen on the field and on film, and the type of player he is, but just getting to know the person has been pretty special.
What do you see in the guys that you added to the receiver room, and how do they complement just the guys that you have already?
Yeah, we're looking to add guys with different skill sets. I think so much of it is finding dominant traits that players have and adding them to the room. Feel really good about where we are. You can always add more players to every room. That's certainly true, but I feel really, really good about where we are right now.
What are you hopeful for with Brian Robinson Jr. Running back stable? You get a running back that's established in the league.
Yeah, I think a really, really talented football player who I think matches exceptionally with what we want to do with him and Bijan, like the skill set and how they marry each other, how they complement each other. We want to have an attack that's not just a one person attack. You have to be balanced in this league. And I think Brian gives us an opportunity to do that.
You mentioned the traits. What do you see in Olamide Zaccheaus and Jahan Dotson?
Yeah, well, Olamide, intelligence, the ability to make plays, particularly in the middle of the field. He will do anything for the football team as he's done, but he's always been a playmaker in this league. You've seen him constantly be able to work in offenses, special teams, you name it, but just a pro's pro. Jahan, excited about his skill set. I think he's a young man that has a lot in him. I think he's been productive with the opportunities that have come his way. Real speed, real separation ability. So excited about John.
In the draft room in a couple of weeks, what do you envision your role being sitting in there at that?
Yeah, so many of those, it's kind of like game day in that you've had so many of those discussions leading up to it. So Ian, already I can tell you, having not been through a draft with him, but I can already tell you he'll be ultra prepared. So I'm there to help him answer any questions about role fit of players, which we've done already. We've had those conversations. We'll continue to have those conversations. But as you get into the draft and guys become available, it's my job and our coach's job to explain the role fit to Ian so that he can make informed decisions.
That's good.
By not naming starters in February, and I'm sure that still holds for April.
It does.
At what point do you start to think along those lines in terms of your actual depth chart? And are you evaluating these players in any sort of way while they're in the classroom, kind of trying to pick up on things? And
I think you're constantly evaluating your players. A coach tell me that they're evaluating everything we do, how we walk to the practice field, who we interact with, how we interact. And you're constantly under evaluation. That's no secret for our players. But we don't, the depth chart type of questions, those really don't factor for me until you get in the training camp. We'll roll guys through different situations, and this is professional football. Everybody understands that it's a competitive sport. It's a competitive world that we live in. So the idea of fighting for jobs, fighting for roles, welcome to professional football. That's nothing new for our players. They understand that. So that's the fun part of our business is the competition that goes into it. But there's also ways to do that in the sense of helping the football team, which is the number one thing that's important to me. Number one thing that's important to those players is our team, and setting any type of roles and depth charts that'll come at the appropriate time.
What are you looking for when they're both able, competition-wise, from Michael and from Tua? They get the opportunities to get out there and earn the job.
Yeah, I think just focus on what's in front of them. So much of their jobs and their evaluation is going to be on a day-to-day basis, and treat every meeting, treat every practice like it's a game. Put yourself in the game setting and give the best accounting of yourself that you can. Both guys are learning a new system, as all the offensive players are. So there's going to be a lot of building foundational knowledge for them throughout this offseason. That's what I know Coach Van Pelt's working very hard with the quarterback room and focusing on the foundational knowledge first. But for any player, it's about kind of being where your feet are and making sure you're not getting too far ahead of yourself.
Tua is here.
I'm not going to get in the business. I'm not going to get in the business of confirming or denying who's here and who's not here in the voluntary program.
But he's here. Right.
Kevin, you said at the combine, you wanted the coaching staff to speak to the quarterback room with singular voice.
Mm-hmm.
The players learn differently. So do you have to kind of adapt the methods that you're applying that singular voice to meet?
Without a doubt. That's teaching. You have to focus on your players. So much of what we do leading into the draft process is trying to understand how the players learn best. And our job as coaches, as teachers, is to work with our students, work with our players to understand the best way for them to learn. So much of this information that they're getting, you can feel like you're drinking out of the fire hose, right? It can be a lot. That's our job, to make sure that we give them the information in a digestible way, in ways that, whether it's on the grass, whether it's on the board, being flexible as teachers, as coaches, I think is so important.
Time for one more. What's your opinion on both lefty quarterbacks, not from a scheme perspective, but from a wide receiver's perspective of how the ball tails coming out?
Yeah, it obviously, it spins differently than a righty, but having been in Cleveland last year with a righty and a lefty, there wasn't a lot of receivers talking about, man, it's harder to catch this ball or that ball. They kind of would go through a drill and catch a righty, catch a lefty. So I think maybe it's a little bit overstated in that challenge, but receivers get pretty used to it quickly. Cool. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Thanks, Coach.
What going on? Yeah, boy. Got the birds and Falcons. New era is here. Also add in a splash of Tyler Goodson. Cute RB3. Yup. I'm gonna go back to Kevin real quick. I want to start from the beginning again. Kevin Stefanski had spoke before Bijan. He had got asked about James Pierre. He said he's not coming. I already made that video why he's not coming. He got them court dates, April 21st and the 23rd. So I guess his legal team telling him don't make a public appearance. Right now, just stay to yourself and let us figure this out, and let's get to the court dates and see what happens. Penix, no timetable. That's what Kevin Stefanski said. Now, you got to take what Kevin said with a grain of salt, because he be lying, but I believe him on this one. Michael Penix with no timetable for a return, that's setting up for him to make Michael Penix the starter. Like, y'all got to read between the lines with Kevin, and that's exactly what he's saying. Michael Penix ain't going to be ready. Tua going to be the starter. It ain't going to be no quarterback competition. That's just what it is, man. I'm telling you, he did this up there in Cleveland and said it was going to be a fair quarterback competition, and it never was. And that's exactly what's happening right here with the Atlanta Falcons, them signing Tua. It ain't going to be no fair competition. I know everybody want Michael Penix to go out there and play and compete against Tua, but I'm telling you, if he's not out there by July, if he's not out there for training camp, I ain't even going to say training camp, because OTAs, if he's not out there by OTAs, playing at least on the air, running under center, getting snaps under center, I don't see Michael Penix, let alone getting ready for week 1, but he ain't going to be ready for a couple weeks during the season, because they definitely going to start Tua regardless. That's what I'm saying. That's why they signed him. And he the same old Kevin Stefanski. Rob had came in here and said Raheem was more upbeat. This is what you're going to get with Kevin. Monotone. He don't get up. He don't get down when he's talking to the media. Now, in the locker room and on the field, a little different. But talking to the media, he going to say the same stuff, man. Like, you can tell when he got stuff scripted already. And the answers he going to expect, he already got. The questions he expect, he already got answers for. So he just going to repeat the same thing over and over, man. But Kevin's soft, man. This one of the problems that the players had up there in Cleveland with him. is Kevin Stefanski is too soft, man. He kept talking about this is voluntary. This is voluntary. Look, I know it's voluntary. We all know it's voluntary, but you a new head coach. You want your players to be there so they can get a jump start. That's the whole point of y'all having this 2 weeks before everybody else, is because y'all knew, and they coming in to learn the new stuff, the new coaches, the new offense, the new playbook. That's the whole point. So you're going to want your quarterback to be in there, both of them. I seen Michael Penix walk through there. They took some pictures, and I'm going to tell you right now, Atlanta Falcons, y'all social media team needs some work, bro. Y'all so lackluster on the social media, it's ridiculous. No wonder why the fans don't know nothing. We can't. You took one picture of players walking in, and that was it. Where the weight room stuff? Where the in the meeting room stuff? Like, take some pictures of that, man. And then the videos and the way it's set up. There's a whole different thing because I'm a content creator, man. But yeah, but Kevin Soft, man, he keeps saying the same thing. And like I said, the voluntary, like, you can come out and say, I ain't gonna say you got to name the players that ain't here, but you ain't got to keep saying I'm not gonna get into that. Just say it's some players that should be here that ain't here, and I would expect them to be there. Be a head coach, man. Be a head coach, because that, like I said, that was one of the problems up there in Cleveland. The players felt that Kevin didn't hold them accountable. So I guess they were getting away with a lot of stuff, or I ain't gonna say the like Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward was getting away with stuff, but maybe some Joe Blow that made the team, but he start or he just play a little bit, so he feel like he can do what he want to do because he done made the team, and they weren't holding them accountable to get the best out of the players. You know what I'm saying? So you got to hold the players accountable to get the best out of them. He say he listening to the players and the coaches to make sure we on the right path. Man, you better. Allen Van Pelt gonna be calling the plays again. He gonna win you another coach of the year, especially if you win this division, which I think the Falcons should win this division because this the easiest conference, this the easiest division in the NFL. Like the NFC South always is a toss-up every year. You ain't got no guaranteed like, oh, this team gonna win the division. So Kevin can come in and hit a shock and all and get on a good foot or a good start with the Atlanta Falcons and make it look like it's smoke and mirrors, because I don't think he's a good coach, but he got a way better offense and a totality of the team, because you not heavy on one side of the ball like he was over there in Cleveland. He was more heavy on the defensive side than he was on the offensive side because the offense struggled. But here in Atlanta, he got a balance of both, because you got a superstar on the offense side, you got a star wide receiver out there, then a semi-star tight end that's on the verge maybe to become what everybody thought he was and what everybody want him to be, because this offense is built for tight ends. So I'm expecting Kyle Pitts to go over 1,000 yards receiving if they don't trade him, but that's a whole different video because he did sign that franchise tag. But the way Kevin just talked about Kyle Pitts, I think he here to stay. But at the same time, the way he talked about Kyle Pitts, it don't matter because what he said about Ian, then I get to that in a minute. But the quarterback position matters in the run game. So, like I said, you just need decent quarterback play. You don't need Tua to be that Tua he was in Miami when he was having some of the best years of his career. You don't need that Tua in Atlanta right now, or Michael Penix to play super duper well. You know what I'm saying? You want Michael Penix to keep developing in the right direction, but at the same time, it got to be faster, man, because both of these quarterbacks injury prone, but I think Michael Penix is a little bit more injury prone than Tua, because this going to your third year in the league and you done had 3 ACL surgeries already, and from college you had 2 in college, then you done had 1 in the pros, and he was already an older quarterback coming into the league and had to sit 1 year. And so now it's like, bro, come on, the timetable, the timeline, the time for him to develop, it should have been last year, but he got hurt. Now you got to start all over, because if you don't know, you got to rehab to get back to where you was before you can add to go to the next level to get better. So that's why I say I don't think Michael Penix gonna play anytime soon this season, because he had to rehab back to the point the way he was. Then he got to get better from that point on, and by the time he get back to the point he was from the rehab to getting better, the season gonna be already in motion. I already said he won't hold players accountable. Cal pick big season. He feels good about the players in the free agency. You better, because you got to coach them regardless. Ian Cunningham making the team up the right way. And I applaud Ian Cunningham for not deferring to Kevin. I wrote it down. I said, Ian, don't let Kevin pick the players or pick the players in the draft. Please don't, because he don't know talent. He don't know how to evaluate talent. He might know them X's and O's, and this player might fit his scheme, but he don't know the talent. This is what then I'm glad Kevin said this. Right after he said that, he said, Kevin tells Ian what type players fit his role. Then Ian go find the player because he can evaluate the talent. That's why he the GM. Don't let Kevin do it because he don't know. He drafted Dylan Gabriel up there in the 3rd round for the Cleveland Browns and forced Cleveland to trade Baker Mayfield and all that. That's a whole different story. But don't let Kevin pick the players. Ian Cunningham, keep doing what you're doing. And I think he's doing a good job being the GM. And that what might lead this team to success, regardless of who the head coach is. If Ian Cunningham, we're going to see what he do in the draft. But free agency right now, he done added them depth pieces. I like the moves, even with the trade. And so adding them depth pieces, we going to see what this team is. And if he building the team the right way, like I think he is, this team should be successful this coming up season. And then consistent evaluation. He said this up in Cleveland, man. He said the same exact thing up there in Cleveland about players consistently getting evaluated. It don't mean nothing. It don't mean nothing. There's just something he tell the media to make it look like everybody is getting evaluated at every moment. How they walk, how they come in the building, what time, all that. That don't matter. That does not matter. Shedeur Sanders was sitting in Kevin's office and being proactive, going to the coach. Hey, coach, let's go over this playbook. And it didn't mean nothing. It didn't mean nothing. He want the quarterbacks to focus on what's in front of them, both learning the playbook, because like I told y'all, both of them got to learn the playbook. It's a new playbook, so both of them got to learn it. But I think Tua going to have the edge because he's going to be able to get on the field when it's time to get on the field while Michael Penix still rehabbing. Coach VP, Coach Van Pelt, he said his name. He said he's working hard with the quarterbacks. And I guarantee you right now, he's working more than hard with them quarterback because he won you 2 Coaches of the Year awards, Kevin. And that's why you hired him to come to Atlanta. I wouldn't blame you, bro. I do the same thing. That's a smart move. To the guy that helped you win the Coach of the Year awards, you bring him in wherever you go. It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. And then Tua. Is Tua there? That's why I said I don't like the social media team. Like, I ain't seen not one picture of Tua. I don't know if Tua there or Tua ain't. But the way Bijan Robinson was just talking, I think Tua is there, but it's no confirmation because I ain't gonna know. Because Tua told it himself he ain't got no social media. He ain't got no social media. So I don't know if Tua there or not. I seen Michael Penix there, and that's a good thing. But Tua, the starting QB1 or the starting quarterback for the Falcons, I don't know if he there or not. And hopefully he is there, because if he's not there, I don't like that. I don't like that he's not there. You coming in just after being released, even though you still gonna get $54 million. You still gonna get $54 million for the Dolphins, and then you coming in on a new team with a new head coach with a new system, and you ain't even there trying to learn it from day one. That ain't setting right with me if Tua is not there. But like I said, it's no confirmation that he is or is not there. But I hope he is. But I know Michael Penix is, and that's a good sign. But he got to get healthy enough to get on that field to get under center, man. Like I said, the social media team need some work. I thought they were the owner and GM on there. Why they traded Baker? Why? Nah, it wasn't just on the owner and the GM. Kevin Stefanski and Baker Mayfield were getting into it. That's why Baker came out and said he can't wait to play Kevin 2 times a year. You don't say that if you was getting along with the coach. You know what I'm saying? And Odell Beckham had got into it with, I think, Baker Mayfield and Kevin. It was just a big mess. And I think Baker Mayfield was ready to leave after all that situation. But at the same time, if you the head coach, you need to calm that down. Because y'all drafted this quarterback first overall, and he's supposed to be the franchise quarterback, and he not getting along with the head coach, or you not getting along with the quarterback. You, as the head coach, got to be the bigger man because he's still young. You know, Baker Mayfield was still young at the time, just coming in. I think he was like 3rd year in the league or whatever. So, you know, he already had that little hard playboy type attitude, you know. And so Kevin, I don't know exactly what happened with the rift, because you know they ain't never gonna tell you exactly what happened. But I know it was some going on between them that they ain't like each other like that. And then trading for Deshaun Watson, that was on the owner there. That was on Jimmy Haslam, because they traded away Baker Mayfield, and they traded for they traded for Deshaun first and then traded Baker Mayfield. But that was on the owner because he seen the opportunity to get an elite quarterback at the time in Deshaun, and they made the jump and did it. The big swing and a miss. The big swing and a miss, Jimmy Haslam's like,
My savages! MONEYMANE in the thing of a T and playing no games. Should I already know my name when I speak NCC flame. Got my YouTube poppin', man. Like, subscribing, everything in between. You already know MONEYMANE. You already know.